What's good, YouTube? This your man Spill Dog. You know, Errol Spence, man, he always be one of my favorite fighters. You know, ain't none of us forgot when he was fighting at his optimum level, when he was beating good fighters back to back to back to back to back. He did that for some years. But I really feel like, and not just the accident, it was becoming a little bit of a situation before the accident. When he fought Sean Porter, that's when he was hanging out and partying a little bit too much, and then he had the accident. I think soon after. I think the last time I seen Earl close to himself was the Mikey Garcia fight and the Danny Garcia fight. Both of those was some time ago. The Mikey fight was before Sean, and the Danny fight was after the accident. I think that was his first fight back after his accident, if I ain't mistaken. You could see the dedication, the passion, the drive, the stuff that made him the fan-friendly fight he was. A big part of, I think, Earl, when he was at his best. This is just my opinion. When he was at his best, he was fighting at least two, sometimes three times a year, but at least twice a year he was at his optimum conditioning, timing, strength. His physicality was a big part of his game as he was coming up, especially when he first got the belt from Kell Brook, and his first couple of fights afterwards. His physicality, his strength, and his pace, and his pressure was, a lot of fighters just couldn't handle it. But he didn't have a lot of it wasn't a lot of variances to how he was fighting. I knew that he could fight different. I saw some things in the Lamont Peterson fight late that he was starting to do different. He was trying to show everybody he could box when he went to 12 rounds and just outbox Mikey, because everybody was saying how good of a boxer Mikey was at the time. But sometimes, people human. You can get caught up in the hype. I think that's how the accident happened. Him hanging out too much, stuff happened. But for me now, it's the inactivity. He been inactive for ever since that accident. He has not had more than one fight a year since then, and the last maybe 4 years, he haven't had more than one fight in a year and a half. And shit, since the Sean Porter fight, and that was a very, very long time ago. Same with Keith Thurman, and a lot of fans. And I've been guilty of it myself. Have been living in the past with certain fighters to some degree. Living off what they have done more than really what they have been doing. Because if we honest with ourselves, the fight with Ugas was beautiful. Earl came through and blew him out in the end. But and I got videos to say I felt like this then. He got hit with a lot of clean shots in that fight. That was the thing I noticed. He got hit with a lot of big clean shots. Even got staggered twice. Not bad, but he did get kind of paused twice in that fight. And EJ defense was much better than that. At that when he was on the top of his game, I figured it was just a little ring rust. And him and Derrick James would get in the lab and tighten it up. Then he stayed out the ring another 17. I remember 17 months when he went in there and fought Crawford, and you could see he wasn't setting the distance good. His timing was off. He was just running into shots. And when he took the fight with Fundora, I didn't like the fact that they were saying October, because I was like, well, damn, that's gonna be a couple months longer than a year. But I said he did have a very physical fight against Crawford and took a lot of damage. So, okay, maybe a little bit more than a year, that might be okay. But then after the situation, and you already got the situation going on with Derrick James. Now, we passed the year now. You know, yeah, this week is gonna be past a year, and really don't know when the fight gonna be, and he still hasn't even picked a trainer. I mean, it's this stuff matters, and I don't know if he's been sparring or whatever the case may be, but you can't tell me that he gonna be at optimum level and doing it like this. Now I rock with my boy. He gonna go out there and fight. Come out here and pick him up another check or two. I'm with it. I ain't gonna bet a dime on it. I said that after the Crawford fight. The videos is out there. I said that's my boy. I'm always rock with him, but I never bet on him again. And no matter how he look, I won't bet on him again. I just want to see him either do good or leave this shit alone. One of the two, because I hate to see him go out here and get hurt. Just picking up money at this point. Unless he gonna fight, unless he gonna take the level of fighters that he gonna fight down a notch. Because I'm just being real. You got Boots out here. You still got Bud out here. Fundura, I don't think that he's no real threat to Spence, but he is a very tall man who don't mind letting his hands go, and he's trying to be a better boxer. I think he's getting more credit for the fight with Tim Tszyu than in a sense that he deserved, even though I called for the upset alert in that fight. But me being honest, the way the fight was going in the first round before they got that cut, I thought Tim Tszyu was going to be knocking him out in about 4 or 5 rounds, because he was just hitting them clean with big shots, almost at will. Like I said, the headbutt and Tim Tszyu team not stopping that fight. They should have. I mean, I said I was talking. I was calling the fight that night, and I was saying they need to stop this fight right now, because when the place where the cut was and how it was bleeding, you knew it wasn't gonna stop. And I just felt like they probably saw what I saw in the first round, how he was catching with them big shots clean early, but they wasn't the ones gonna be walking around with all that blood in their face. And I mean, you only human. You seeing all this blood running down your face, that's going to change the way you fight. It changed the entire fight as the blood and the cut. So I can, and I do like Fundora, and I'm not saying I like I like boxing. I like Fundora, but I don't see him as no real issue for Terrence Crawford. I don't see him, if Errol was himself or is himself, I don't see him no issue. I don't see him no issue for certain level fighters, just because it's not because he can't fight. He gets hit clean, and it ain't hard to do it. These dudes, these good fighters and good punchers, you ain't gonna be able to keep taking them like that. So I was. That's why I was saying, well, when Errol took that fight, I was looking at probably what I felt like Errol was looking at. That's food. Errol will walk him down in about 6, 7 rounds. He should be able to. He's a good enough fighter to work around and go up under that jab. Yes, Fundura sticking a jab out there, but it ain't no speed on it. It ain't no real speed on it. So a real fighter slip, slide, and get up in there. A A-level fighter is not gonna have a lot of problems with Fundura. Go watch Floyd fight Diego Corrales. Now, no, Errol is not. Don't fight like Floyd. I'm not saying that, but top level fighters know how to get inside with a guy if he's not faster than him and don't have a certain have a certain type of jab. It's that ain't, he just Fundura just keep putting the jab out there. It ain't nothing on it. You understand? You ain't gonna. He'll have problems with the elite level guys, Charlo, Bud, any of the top guys up there. If y'all remember the fight with Erickson Lubin, I like Lube, I respect Lube, but Lube is it's like he just maybe one step behind most of the top guys. I mean, it's just how it looked to me, but Lube was catching him. It's just that Lube don't have that elite level defense, and he kept getting clipped. But that was a good, exciting fight with him and Lube. But I ain't never looked at Lube as no competition for Spence, if I'm being honest. I ain't looked at Lube as no competition for Crawford, if I'm being honest. Especially after what we saw happen to him against Charlo like it did. So, there's too many guys that, Ocampo, Earl knocked him out with a body shot in 1 round. Thunder went 12 long, hard rounds with him before he got him up out of there. So, I understand people saying he jabbing better, he boxing better. No. He's trying to. The blood, you cannot overlook that cut and them not stopping that fight against Tim Tszyu and Fundura. Now, don't get me wrong. I called for the upset myself, but once I saw how the fight was going, without that cut, I don't believe we get that outcome. Without that cut, the type of cut it was, that was a bad cut that bled the entire fight. I mean, profusely in that man's face. That wasn't just a little nick. That was a cut where the fight should have been stopped. Should have been stopped. I don't know if it was greed. It could even been Tszyu who wanted the money bad. But I know if I'm in that corner and I'm the trainer, unless I don't have that authority, we stopping this fight. As soon as that cut, and I seen the way that blood was coming down. After the first round he went out there, it kept coming down. We stopping this fight. That was the second, third round. We stopping this fight, and it just would have been a no contest, and they'd had to run it back. But it's where it's at now, and like I said, I was all for it. I felt like Earl was gonna go in there and get a knockout. I felt like that was gonna be set six to 8 rounds, good, exciting 6 to 8 rounds where, Earl would take some punches, and it would have been one of them good fights. That's what I was looking for. But when you get to the point where you're just doing stuff solely for the money, it's like a person that don't really like their job, but they need the paycheck or whatever. It's gonna be hard to get the best out of a person like that. You gotta still have that love for what you do. I don't feel that from Spence no more. When I see him talk about boxing, when you see him giving interviews, I don't see that passion that he once had for the sport. I just don't see it. Now that don't mean it ain't there, because I don't see it, but I just don't see it no more. And then when I hear this, that the fight wasn't supposed to be the end of October, and they putting it off already. How do I know in October, in a couple more months, they're not gonna put it off again? So when this started happening, after you already was out the ring 17, 18 months before you fought Crawford, we saw how that looked. I don't see you gonna get no better not fighting. You know what I mean? Not sparring regular, don't have no trainer. That haven't went and looked and found one. I'm just being realistic. There's no way to Spence that we all know and was rooting for. I don't know if that guy ever gonna come back. I would love to see him come back. This is why I say, for me, if he ain't gonna respect the sport, I would rather for him to get out of here before he get himself hurt, because the way he fight, he can get it. He can put himself in the back. It don't take but one punch the wrong way to really get hurt bad in there. And it's one thing if you fighting C-level fighters. Earl is going. He been saying he don't like tune-ups. He want A-level guys. A-level guys can fight. Fundura is borderline safe as far as, to me, getting hurt, but you could take a long beating with a guy like that because he don't punch real hard. And if you ain't you, that'll be a long 12 rounds. And it just ain't it ain't healthy to me if he ain't gonna be serious about it, or if his heart ain't there, or if him, I don't know how it would be without Derrick James with him, the type of person Earl is. I have to think about stuff like this. He's a kind of standoffish, seem to be more so private type guy. I think that's why it's been so hard for him. he been doing since at least January, February. Derek James and him wasn't gonna be rocking together no more. Let me see, March, April, May, June, July. It's been half of it. It's been 6 months. As long as Spence been fighting, in my opinion, he has seen enough trainers to know the trainers that he got respect for out there. I think he know that already. I think he know who he could or couldn't work with in his heart to some degree already. Now, the fact that he haven't picked them make me think he don't really want to. I could be wrong. It just, that's how it seems from where I'm sitting. And if any of this stuff is anywhere close to right, it might be trying to hang him up unless he need the money. Now, if you need the money, come on out here and fight. But if you're not gonna be 100% you, I think is one card he just need to really consider, and that's go ahead and fight Keith Thurman. Y'all both don't ever fight. It's hard to be down with a guy that don't never fight. Earl, my man, but when you fight once every two fights in 4 years and shit like that, I need to see a guy to be really rooting for a guy. And Earl don't care nothing about being in that ring no more. I don't care what nobody says. I just don't think it matter to him that much no more. I just think from time to time, a few $1 million won't hurt. I think that's where it's got. I take that back. I think that's where it will be. Let me say it like that. The way it look like, the way he pulling his comeback. Cause okay, even if he ain't got no trainer, he could be in the gym sparring and working out and stuff like that. Like you see, Bud and a lot of other fighters doing. Getting around, being in the gym sparring. With good fighters staying sharp. I don't see none of that. And I think to fight elite level fighters, you need to be sparring and everything with elite level fighters. You need to stay on. You got to stay tight. And I just don't think you can lay around and be somebody else for a year and a half, and then in 3-4 months turn into that a killer again. I don't think it's gonna work right like that. So I hope the best for Big Dog. I definitely gonna always be in his corner. If he gonna fight, I'm gonna rock with him. But the way he going about it just put a lot of questions on the thing for me. And I hope if it's just 6 or 7 years worth of coincidence, I hope that's the case. But if that's not the case and his heart really ain't in it, fight Keith Thurman or somebody where it's gonna be where both of y'all will be more even and get your money and go home and leave this mess alone, man, and be a promoter and do other stuff before you get yourself hurt. That would be my biggest thing. But that's it for me on this video. If you like the video, hit like and subscribe. Till the next time, it's your boy Spill Dog. I'm out.